touching the white box by username here. So you'll touch username, and then you can use this keyboard here, or you can pull out this keyboard and type in demo, and typing upside down is fun. So demo for username, and then touch the, I just touched enter here, and then you touch the white box by password and type in demo, typing upside down is fun, enter, log in. So if you're not using the card, you log in, username demo, password demo. If you're using the card, you just hold the card here, okay?
It's not case sensitive.
It's not case sensitive. Okay, questions on that? Awesome. Okay, so the operation panel is like a tablet use. So if you're used to using a tablet, iPad, something like that, you're already used to how this functions. So it's a simple, you can just, once we have more options, you'll be able to actually just swipe back and forth to be able to get to the different ones. You'll be able to go into the different, I call them apps because they, it's the same concept. You just touch, if you want to go into copy, you go into the copy app, and then you can use the copy functions. I will say this little home, we call this the home key. Again, just like on the Apples or the tablets, you have the one home key, it takes you back to the home screen, right? So, in other words, it is not your start button. That's the first thing that happens. We go into copy, we want 22 copies, we want them two-sided, we set our settings, and then we press that, and it does not make our copies. Okay, so, not the start button. And as you can see, your start buttons are right here. As what Kim was saying, this is a color machine for the demo. More than likely what will be placed will be a black and white. The difference between a color machine and a black and white machine is only this. There are two start buttons with the color, one that says black and white start, one that says color start. If it is a black and white machine, it will just be one big start button. It will take up this area and it will just say start. Okay, so that's the difference. So the CA button in the copy feature is your clear all. Clears all of your function settings, not your system settings, but your function settings. A function setting is two-sided, 22 copies, pull from a specific drawer, enlarge, reduce. That's a function setting. A system setting is a paper type. So if you went down the road of, I want to run cardstock out of the bypass tray, that won't necessarily change the paper type. The CA won't change it back to plain or whatever it was set for. Does that make sense? Okay. Is cardstock a feature that y'all use currently when you use the machines? Do you run cardstock? Do you run special paper? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Oh, this is on a timer, so it goes back to...
It does log out, yes.
Okay.
So, and I talk, so that's what's so, once I log back in, if you do need to run cardstock, okay, while you're demoing the machine, you're perfectly welcome to do so. In fact, we encourage it. However, we do ask that you use the bypass tray, which folds down right here, okay? Just opening up the drawer and putting cardstock in, while it can be done, there's a few extra steps that should be taken. So just use your bypass tray for now, okay? If you do use the bypass tray, we're going to go ahead and set the bypass tray for heavy paper, and it will be set for that so that you can run cardstock, and that's all you're going to run through the bypass tray, probably. So I'm going to show you how to change the paper type if you do choose to change it in the bypass tray to something else, okay? So you touch the button here that says Tray Settings, and then you would touch the bypass tray button, okay? And then you just choose the paper type you want to select. More than likely, most schools only use heavy paper 1. Heavy paper 1 is up to 110-pound index, which says cardstock on the paper, or 80-pound cover. That's the same, kind of in the same weight range. So that you can run. I highly doubt you'll run anything thicker than that, right? Okay. And I will go ahead and say this, no construction paper. Construction paper is bad. It's fiberistic and it falls apart in the machine. So bad construction paper. Do y'all ever have a need to run transparencies here? I would imagine not, but I always have to ask.
What about photo paper?
Sorry?
Photo paper?
Photo paper, that would be glossy paper. And you would choose, instead of cardstock, or heavy paper, you would choose glossy.
Cool.
Okay? And again, bypass tray.
Bypass.
Okay? Anything that goes in the bypass tray is print side face down, okay? So if I wanted it to print on this side, I would put it in face down. And there is like a little
icon for
Indicator.
there's a little,
That's
there's a little
funny.
picture. And anything going through the feeder is face up. And there is a little picture there to instruct that, okay?
Got it.
Or you can get like a little sticker and draw a smiley face with an up arrow, and that works too. So that being said, and then of course, obviously, it is face down if you're using a glass, okay? So I will go ahead and set, what I'm gonna do is just touch OK, and then touch OK again, and now the bypass tray is set for heavy paper 1, and it will stay set that way forever and ever, amen, until it's changed to something else, okay? It won't reset back, and that's a good thing, okay? So the bypass tray is that special paper tray. Cool? Keeping with the trays, this is tray 1. It is set for 8.5 by 11 paper. If you chose to run 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 14, it is as simple as moving these green guides around and putting the paper in. If you're running 8.5 by 14, it would be like this, and then it would be taken to the 14 here, okay? So just to demonstrate this 11 by 17 aspect, and I'll go back into the tray settings just so you can see what it looks like here. I'm leaving it set to that. But if I go into the paper tray settings, you see how tray 1 has automatically gone to 11 by 17. I didn't have to turn a dial. I didn't have to go into the machine settings to change that size. So if you ever need to run the larger size paper, you can through this machine, through the trays. Okay, it's just a matter of changing that around. Okay, so when you're finished with it, you just move it back, and it changes back to 8.5 by 11. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, we'll touch OK on that one. To go in to use the copy function, here's your number keypad. The C clears the number out, so if you accidentally enter in, say you only wanted 22 copies, but you entered in 222, if you caught that before you actually press the start button, you would touch C, and then you can re-enter the number and then press the start button. Now, if you've pressed the start button and it's making 222 copies and we're in panic mode, the good thing is that this button right here changes as soon as you press start. It changes to a big orange button that says cancel copy. So you just touch cancel copy. If that goes away before you're able to like register it in your brain that, oh gosh, I hit the wrong one, there will be a cancel print button showing up right here. Okay? And it will be highlighted in bright orange, and it will say cancel print, and you'll just touch that and it will stop it. Okay? Cool? Alrighty. The paper select is where you tell it to pull from a specific drawer. So going back to the paper and going back to the bypass tray. I spend a lot of time on that. The more you know about it, the less issues you'll have, because it's more preventative maintenance, I guess, if you want to call it that. If you want it to pull from the bypass tray, you do have to go into paper select and tell it to do so. A lot of older machines, as soon as you put paper in the tray, it would pull from it regardless of whether or not you wanted it to. This machine is like a teenager. It does not do anything unless you tell it, or at least the bypass tray part. You have to give it clear instruction. So when you select that bypass tray, and if you have paper in it, you'll see that there's a size that will show up here. So you see how its size is showing up now, 8.5 by 11. So as soon as you put paper in there. So if you want it to pull from that tray, you would tell it that. Now the bypass tray is not normal, regular, everyday copying.
That's
More
what I
than
just
likely-
had.
More than likely, your everyday copying is just going to come out of here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you, just in case you did choose to
Okay.
demonstrate that, because you do have it for 2 weeks. Use it.
Okay.
And figure that out. But I will tell you this, if you just put paper in here and tell it to pull from, and just press start, it's not going to pull from the bypass tray just because you have paper in it. You have to go in and touch that tray.
Okay.
Okay? The two-sided copy, who wants to take a guess as to what that does? It's pretty self-explanatory. So you go into two-sided copy, and you have it spelled out for you on the right-hand side. So if you're a the left-hand side. If you're a left-brain person and things work better if make more sense if you're reading the instructions, There you go. If you're a right brain person and things make more sense if you're looking at pictures, it's right here on the pictures. So whichever makes sense to you. The one that's on the left-hand side, once you select it, it shows the picture on the right-hand side of the screen. Okay? So the bigger picture is what shows up. Okay? So you've got one-sided to two-sided, two-sided to two-sided, and then two-sided to one-sided. When you are selecting the two-sided to two-sided copy option, this piece is really fun. You have a right-hand action menu. This guy can be your best friend because he has a little I call it the shortcut menu. He has a shortcut option to a button that says blank page skip.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So if I'm making two-sided copies, some of my documents are two-sided, some of them are not. I can tell it, okay, do two-sided to two-sided, but I want to save paper. So I want you to skip any blank pages. So I'm touching blank page skip, and then I'm touching skip blank page, and it's going to skip my blank pages, reducing the amount of paper that prints out. It's not necessarily reducing the amount of clicks that are counted on copies, because a two-sided copy is still two copies. It's just reducing the paper that's being used. That's happy dance.
Yeah, really.
So, we can, okay, just kidding. So there's that piece. The copy ratio is your reduce and enlarge option. Okay, so everybody, I'm sure y'all use that quite frequently. So in the copy ratio, we have presets that are available, and underneath each preset option is our paper sizes, so it kind of takes the guesswork out of it for you. 64%, for example, has 11 by 17 with an arrow pointing to 8.5 by 11, so it's taking an 11 by 17 size document, reducing to fit on 8.5 by 11. An example of that would be a workbook, making a copy of a workbook, putting it on the glass, just wanting what I'm looking at to print out, but just smaller. I would just place the workbook on the glass, go into copy ratio, touch 64%. Okay? And that's all you have to do with that. Or you can leave it on 100% and touch auto image. Auto image does the math for you. I don't like math. I'm totally right brain. Tell me to write a story, I'll write a story. Give me a math problem, ain't gonna happen. It's just not. Auto image works based off of the size of the original versus the size of the paper you're telling it to print on. So if it knows the size of the original, it's going to immediately go to where it is. The reason why this is automatically going to 94% is because I have these out to the A4 option. A4 is like Europe's version of letter paper, so it's having to reduce slightly because it thinks it's a bigger size paper. If I were to push these feeders, the guides to the 11, it goes back to 100. If I were to put my hands on these little sensors here, it goes to 64% because it's thinking it's 11 by 17. So you see how auto image is just awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So the next option that you have that I want to also go one step further into that auto image feature is something that I see a lot of at schools. We have small little pieces of paper that we need to enlarge to fit on 8.5 by 11. Is that a common thing that more than likely we do? So it's super teeny, a little bit bigger than this, and we want it to enlarge. We could put it in the top left-hand corner, go to copy ratio, take it up a little bit. That's not what we're looking for. Go back, make another copy. Go back, make another copy. 15 copies later, we've got what we're looking for. There's a trick to that. So what we do instead is we tell it, because we now know auto image works with the size of the original, okay? So we have to tell it that it's an unusual size. It's not going to detect anything smaller than 5.5 by 8.5, okay? So if it's like 4 by 3, we have to tell it. So to tell it, we go to original, and then we can touch the button here that says direct entry. Y'all see that button? It's red.
I don't have my glasses on. Okay.
So we touch direct entry, and then we can adjust the X and Y. Okay, so the X is the width, the Y is the length, and it kind of demonstrates here in this little diagram. You can use the minus buttons to do that, to get to the numbers, or you can just touch inside the white box, clear the number that's existing, and let's say that the X is 3 3/8. You see how easy that was? All I did was touch the 3, and then touch on the little bar where I wanted that little green dot to go. Okay? And then let's say that the Y, clear it out, let's say the Y is 4 1/4. Okay? So once we do that, we then execute the size. I don't know why they call it execute. It's one of those translation things. Touch execute, And then we can use our right-hand shortcut menu. I love this guy. He's so much fun because I've got copy ratio right there. So I just touch copy ratio, and I can bounce right in and say auto image, and it goes to 251%. And I didn't have to make 15 unnecessary copies trying to find what I'm looking for. Cool? All right. And now we've got that on film, so we know exactly what we're reading. All right, so any questions on that kind of stuff?
Let me ask you a quick question. With
Sure.
our old ones, which is totally different than what you're talking about.
Right.
If somebody's doing like white out Olympus paper,
Okay.
and you have a mark here, it makes a line through the copies.
Right.
Will that still
Yes.
do it?
Yes.
So it has to be,
That's
the whole
still
screen
gonna-
has to be clear regardless?
Right,
Okay.
right. So make sure the whiteout is cleared out.
Okay.
Now, this is where, I was gonna say that for last, but since you asked the question, there's a little thing to where you never ever have to use whiteout ever again.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm gonna put my documents in here.
Okay.
Y'all see that you have a preview button.
Mhm.
This preview button is in every function that's on the operation panel. Okay? So I touch preview, and it brings it into the screen, and it shows me my document.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, let's say I need something out of a book, so I'm gonna put the book down, and we're pretending this is a book, okay? And then I'm gonna touch additional scan, and it scans the side, the glass. So I'm able to bounce back and forth from the feeder to the glass, feeder to the glass, okay? That's cool. So you see how that number changed from 2 to 3. And then I can put more pages in there. Let's put them in the feeder here. I know you noticed it went in upside down, right? Okay. I did that on purpose. Now I can scan my document through. I can look through it just by swiping. And oh my goodness, it's upside down. What are we gonna do? We can touch this little button here that says it's not labeled edit. It is your edit button. I wish that they had labeled it, but they didn't.
What does it look like?
It looks like a little picture with a finger touching
Okay.
it. So it's kind of like you're touching the screen. You're adjusting the screen. You're editing the document. I don't know. That's your edit button. Okay? So once you are in that feature, you can get to the pages that are in the wrong order or upside down, touch the page. So all I did was tap it. And then I'm going to touch in the corners here, if I could actually, there you go, and then rotate it.
That's neat.
So there's that piece. And let's say this page, page 3 needs to be page 1. So I touch the page, I then touch in the center and drag it to page 1, and it moves. And let's say page 2 needs to not be there. So there's my little trash can. I drag it to my trash can. You see how it highlights in green? If it's highlighted in green, it means I can release it, okay? So, but wait, there's more. We were talking about whiteout, right? Erase specified range. Yes. Oh no. So we touch erase specified range. It takes us one more level down into the edit feature. And I can take out, all I have to do is just touch where I want to start the box. I'm not like drawing a box, but I'm touching this corner and then this corner of the box, and then I can adjust it from there. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I say this is the start point of my box, and then I can say this is the end point of my box. So you see how I touched on this corner and then this corner. I touch this is the end point, and now I can adjust the size that I need it to be. So all I'm doing is just moving it around until I can get to where I'm looking, where I want it to be, okay? I then, again, there's that execute button. I touch execute. Could have been as simple as save, but whatever. We set it for that. And notice I've got 4 ranges in each page. So if I were to swipe over to the next page, I'm back to four ranges. So I can do 4 ranges in each page of my document that I need to take out. But we're only going to do 1 for demonstration purposes. So I touch exit. And then I need to end my edit session in order to see that result, okay? So I'm going to touch edit end, and then look, it's gone.
Wow.
Does it go back to the original if you need
No,
it to?
once you changed it, it's changed. Now, if you need it to go back to the original, you still have the original. So what you would do in that case is you would put the original back in the feeder.
Is there any way you can push that up?
Huh?
Is there any way you can push that up?
What?
Like when you took out that space?
Oh, you can't move the text up. No,
Okay.
you're basically deleting
Just
out of
deleting everything
out of an
Okay.
image. You're not in an actual document to where you
Yeah.
can manipulate it. You're just looking at pictures.
Okay.
Okay, so when you place if you needed to replace the original, you would put it in there, do your additional scan, and then go back into your edit, and then move it back to where it needs to be.
I just didn't know if it would revert. but-
No, it won't revert. Once it's done, it's done.
Gotcha.
Okay? Questions on that? Isn't that super
neat.
cool?
That is
Yeah.
very neat.
And you can see now why I say that for last, because it's like, you
Super
know,
cool function.
I know, it's just like, but wait, there's more. So I'm gonna touch clear all because I'm not gonna make, the copies to, I wanna save paper and stuff like that. The exposure button, making something darker or lighter, okay? You would go to exposure, and all you have to do is just move your little green dot where you want it to go. So if you want it to be lighter, you move it towards the 1. If you want to make it be darker, you move it towards the 5, okay? So that's all you have to do with the exposure piece. Sort group. Grouping can be a teacher's best friend.
Yes.
Okay? The machine automatically sorts and offsets. Sorting is 1 through 5, 1 through 5, 1 through 5. Offset will offset each set. Okay? Group is the complete opposite of sort. Group is, I want 15 copies of page 1, 15 copies of page 2, 15 copies of page 3. So I'm in, how many periods do y'all have here? 6 periods. So you make 6, when you're in your planning period, you have 6 different pages that you need to make 25 copies of each page, right? We're giving an example here. Instead of putting one page in here, 25 copies, another page, 25 copies, another page, 25 copies, put all 6 pages in the feeder, go into our sort group option, say group, touch OK, say I want 25 copies, touch start, and it will print out 25 copies of the first page, 25 copies of the second, 25 copies of the third. Y'all see where I'm going with that? And it even still offsets each set. So, yeah, isn't that great? Cool? Like I said, group can be a teacher's best friend. So again, that was under sort group. Now, when we were waiting on the machine and we were waiting to find out where we were going, I think we were waiting on Kim, I saw a teacher that was in the workroom over by the front office, and she was making a copy from a workbook.
Yep.
And she was doing this option. She was hanging half the book off the glass and then rotating it around.
Yeah,
and the
breaking
other
the
half.
spine.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind handing me that Spartanburg map, please, and thank you. So,
You're cheating there, because see, that's got spiral on it. It's so much easier.
I know, but we're just gonna pretend. So, we need, instead of doing this number, we're just gonna place the book on the glass, okay? So we're taking, and of course, this is a much larger, it's bigger than the glass itself, so we're not gonna get the whole image. But I'm lining the book up with the center of the glass here, and if you wanna come in, you can see that there's a picture here of a little book. That's showing where you can line the bind of the book up with, okay? So you line the bind of the book up with that, close this down. If it's a very thick book, and I'm gonna give this to you because I know I'll put this in my pocket. If it's a very thick book, you can actually lift this up and then fold it over the book and it not, you still have it flat.
That is very cool.
Yes. So, just so you know about that. So we're gonna close this up and we're gonna go into this feature here that's called Others. I touch Others, and then I can touch Dual Page Copy, which is over here on the right-hand part of the screen. It's the 4th one down. I touch Dual Page Copy, and then I can touch Start. The scan bar comes all the way over one time, but it prints out on 2 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Ta-da! So we've
So-
got our book.
So, that's good.
I'm not sure if I have it in the right order or not, but.
So then we would take those.
And then, now, if you needed more than one copy.
Right, okay.
You wouldn't do this and then do that.
Okay.
You would actually go ahead and say, it's adjusting the print quality. You would go ahead and just say, all right, and it's still got the settings. You're gonna say, I want 10 copies of it.
Okay.
Before you even press the start button.
Okay,
And then it would press the start button and it would
Front to
print.
back.
You could do that, yes.
Yeah.
You would say, you know what, let's do 2-sided. So you would touch 2-sided copy, 1-sided to 2-sided,
Okay.
10
Eliminate
copies.
some
So you
steps.
can add more steps. It's not just, okay, do this so that you can go do this.
Okay.
You can set up the whole job.
Yeah, without
And
having to
then
move
press
around.
start.
Okay,
Right.
that's great.
Yeah.
It's good.
We've all been there, done that, haven't we?
Yes. And then you can even save those jobs for common one-touch buttons, but we can get to that once we say, yes, let's go with the machine.
Okay.
We can set that up and we can actually, because the machines have a function, you know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do this for you. So we're gonna say, I'm gonna clear it out. I'm gonna go to others and I'm gonna touch dual page copy. I'm gonna touch OK. I'm gonna say two-sided copy. I'm not gonna put in the number of them. And then I'm gonna say program registration. So when I touch that, I can assign it to the first one, and we're gonna call this workbook copy.
Okay.
Okay? So you have 10 characters that you can use. So I have found that this is the best way to do this. Wait, sorry.
That'll save you a lot of
It's
time,
pretty
just
cool.
come back
Then you
in
can save
and
the job.
scan your little
Do a
card and
dual
mesh it.
threading, you can save the job and say it's in and there it is and it's already done.
Okay, so you see how I've named it WRKBK copy?
Yeah.
Workbook copy, okay? So we touch enter, and now it says program registration is complete. So it will be in a button here that will say call program. So that's how you would get it. But at the same time, on these machines, you can save the program job to either favorites, which is the little gold star down here, or to the home screen. Yes, I said
But would
that,
that be saved just for that person, right, or for anybody?
for anybody.
Okay.
So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and save it.
Okay.
It does require the admin password, so I'm gonna cover up, because I'm not gonna have that go on record.
Okay.
So I'm gonna touch register for home, and then I'm gonna enter in. Those are the kind of things that, like, once we set that up and we go and we say, yes, these machines are awesome, Sharp is super cool, we're gonna put these out, we can set
back
up,
in.
yeah, and we can find out, okay, what buttons work best, and we can set those up when we're doing the install, okay?
Show me where that other button is. Like,
What,
where's-
the others, it says
Oh, I see
others.
it. Okay. I just,
It's
I
right
don't
there.
have my glasses
No,
on, so
that's,
I'm trying to-
that's fine. So now, just to go see where we can find it, remember, it's like a tablet, all I have to do is just swipe over and say, workbook copy.
Oh,
I want 10 copies, start.
Okay.
Modules.
Isn't that awesome?
That's- That really is
I
awesome.
love these machines, they're
That's
so
pretty
much
awesome.
fun.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty awesome.
That will work well for
isn't that awesome?
It is. It's pretty awesome.
But do y'all have one that's like this that does staple?
Now, that's just extra parts that can be added onto it. I don't know what the contract's
Good
written out
question.
for, I don't know what the RFP asked for.
Okay.
So, the help menu, by the way, is this little button that says Operation Guide. You just touch Operation Guide, and you can go in and choose whatever function it is that you have questions about. So let's say copy, and then I can go into change settings, and it gives me a few of the basic stuff. And then there's various copying features, and whichever one I select, it gives me nice, pretty little pictures that show up. Now, this is what Sharp did because they were really big on going green and you know, reducing their carbon footprint. We were Energy Star Sustainability Award company, I think it's like 3 years in a row. In order to have sustainability, you have to have 3 years in a row, at least. So we are a sustainability award company. So that being said, we don't print out operation guides and deliver with the machine anymore. So they're right here on the machine. Now, the caveat to it being right here on the machine, because they went from one extreme to the other, you can't print it out. So you can see it right here, take a picture with your phone,
Stand in the workroom.
say it out loud 3 times fast, write it down, whatever it is that helps you to remember it. Unfortunately, you can't print it out. But it is there, and it's nice, pretty pictures. And the wonderful thing about these machines is that they are super friendly. They're very easy to follow, and all it is just a matter of slowing down our brain enough to read what the text on the button says. The slowing down the brain part's the hardest part. But once we do that, it's done. Right, so there's that. Let's see, so there's your help button option. I could go over, I could stand here all day long and go over more things. I went over the parts that I definitely know you're gonna use. I do encourage you to go in here, go in and touch others, touch buttons. As long as you don't press start, you're not gonna make copies. So you can go in and just push buttons. You're not gonna break the machine because you're not gonna have administrative rights to do so. So you're not gonna mess up. the brain of the machine. Now, what could mess up, and I will, if you could communicate this to the folks that are gonna be on this hall using the machine, it is super light touch, okay? So you see how all I'm doing is just very quickly touching. If you're mashing on it, I like to say it like that. It's just fun. If you're mashing on it, it will not, it won't register. It doesn't, don't mash it. It's not gonna register. Use the tips of your fingers. If the ladies have fingernails, even if you have, if you have your nails done, you can still use the tip of your nails, okay? So that's not gonna mess up the machine. It's just, I mean, I'm using, my nails are done, but it's still my nail and I'm still using it. So, the tip of your finger, it registers the tip of the pressure of the tip of the bone, not the tissue that's in your finger, okay? And if you are more cold-natured and your hands are cold, it also, for some reason, it likes heat. So that's when you definitely want to use the tip of your finger, because it won't register to a cold finger as easily as it would for, I know, it's totally weird. So if you have cold hands, use the tip, or you could use the butt end of a pen. If it's a retractable pen, you could use that, just make sure it's retracted. Not the part that has ink in it, that would not be good. Or the eraser of a pencil would also work too, so you can use that as a stylus if you want to, okay? So that I will say. All right, so scan to email. These machines can scan to email, and I wanted to make sure I covered that. So, and we're just going to use Kim for an example here because I know her name, okay?
She knows it'll work.
So, to scan to email, you're going to touch the button that says Scan to Email. So when we touch Scan to Email, we will not be going to the address book here. We will not be touching where it says Touch to Input Address. We will instead be touching Global Address Search. This is linked to the Active Directory with the district, okay? So when we touch Global Address Search, we will then touch the little white box here and enter in the first name of the person that we're sending to. Now there are a lot of Kims and Kimberlys in the district, so what I'm going to do with Kim is type in, and here I can still use this, so K-I-M space P. Okay, because there's a lot of Kims and Kimberlys. So I'm going to touch Kim space P, touch search, and then there she is. Okay, so to scan to Kim, I select Kim, I touch start, that's it. So it's sending her, I know, it's sending her an email. The email is coming with a PDF attached document. Okay, so the email comes to you as, and when she gets off the phone, we can find out what it actually says. It probably says copier at Carver Middle School, and then it will have the attached document, and she can open up the PDF. Okay.
Will it do just like, so we have so many people and you're trying to scan something to the district office, you don't know their first name, will it do last name?
What I recommend doing that is scanning to yourself
Okay.
and then forwarding it out. That is the best practice, and I'll
Okay.
tell you why. First, because it comes from copier, they don't really know who sent it.
Yeah.
Second, because it could be very, not necessarily confidential, but time sensitive, you want to make sure they got it. You can't go into your sent items and make sure that it was sent. You can't go in and, you know, here at your computer you can set an Outlook, get a red receipt. Here you can't. So that's just a few of the reasons why it's best to scan it to yourself and then forward it out. That way you can have control of it. Now, once y'all, you know, say, yes, Sharp's awesome, we're going to go with Sharp, and we're going to place the machines, what you will have and what one of the beauty parts of the PaperCut software option is, which we it's not going to be, can't demo it because of how we have it set up. You will be able to have an option to where right here, instead of it saying send image as same image as fax, you'll have a button that's going to be on your right hand shortcut menu that's going to say scan email to me. And when you select that button, your cards are going to be associated with your network login information.
Wow.
So your cards are going to know who you are.
Okay.
So when you touch scan email to me, it's going to populate your email address just like that. So it's going to be super awesome. Scanning is going to get even easier.
Right.
So that's
No.
in your machines now. It's not very easy. So this is easy, and then once we go with this,
It's all right, but that's so much cooler and faster.
It's not for us.
It's a little
It's folks
easier.
that don't understand.
Will we all have like separate?
if we go down this road, yes, if,
Okay.
like, once, and I keep saying once, y'all choose.
Yeah, I know, I like
because
that.
it's like positive thinking.
I gotta go to a meeting.
Thank you, show you the basics.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna show you what else you can do with scanning. Okay, so with scanning, we're gonna go to scan to email again. I'm gonna hold off on this one for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, so scan to email, file name, touch direct entry, name our document. That's it. And again, remember, we can use our keyboard. The enter key does work. The shift key is very small. Okay, so if you're a standard typist, you're gonna probably end up hitting the wrong button. Use like these 3 fingers and put your wrist together and you're good. So you just name your document, press enter, and then when you press start, it goes as the named document, okay? You can do the same thing with the subject. The subject line shows up as whatever it was that was showing. The subject line would be different if you name it here, okay? The machine scans in black and white by default, and the reason why is because it makes it a smaller file size, okay? So if you absolutely must have scanning in color, you can scan in color. If you have a black and white machine, no color toner, but you can scan in color.
Wow.
I know. So we touch the button that says what? Color mode. We want to scan in color, so we're going to touch color mode. We're going to touch auto color, and it will scan in color.
Oh, wow.
Ta-da! Okay.
Multiple recipients.
Multiple recipients. Again, best practice is to scan to yourself and then forward it out. But if you must do multiple recipients, it's just a matter of going back into the global address search and searching for them again. Okay? The next option is, are my documents two-sided? I need it to scan both sides. Don't go to copy and take it two-sided to one-sided. What that does when you do that is waste paper, time, money. That's all precious, right? Well, you know what I mean. So, anyways, we don't want to waste time and money and paper. We want to tell it that our original document is two-sided. Word association game works for me on this one. Anything that goes through the feeder or is placed on the glass is my original document. So if my original document is two-sided, I can touch original and touch two-sided booklet and tell it to scan both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and touch start. It's going to take both of my documents, and then instead of Kim getting 2 pages, she'll get 4. But she'll have blank pages because I didn't tell it to skip any blank pages. I don't know if y'all noticed, when we were in that original piece and we selected this, we have a blank page skip, just like we do in copy. So we can tell it, skip any blank pages. Ta-da.
That would stop so much waste.
Scanning
It's
is
gonna
free.
stop waste. Yeah, scanning doesn't cost a
It doesn't
penny.
cost anything. So scan, scan, scan. Print, copy.
That costs money.
But scanning doesn't cost a thing.
And if you were to go down the road of color, color is more expensive than black and white. So that would be a sparing type of deal as well. Okay, so you had a question about scanning to a flash drive, okay? And again, like I was telling them, this is probably something that could possibly be nixed, because with PaperCut, you won't be able to print from a flash drive because PaperCut blocks anything that it doesn't know what's printing. So the flash drive, it doesn't know because it's an external, it's not part of the network, okay? So it will block printing from a flash drive. However, when you are scanning to the flash drive, you're scanning to an external memory device, and that external device can walk right out the door with sensitive information. So a lot of times districts do choose to turn it off. You do have an option for it. I will demonstrate it just in case, okay? So if you were to, somebody's touching the machine, quit touching my machine. All right, so I just plug it into here, okay? I can then go to the file retrieve option, and then I can touch scan to external memory device, okay? When I touch that, I can set all my scanning settings just like I have been in the scan to email and press my start button and it scans straight to here. The difference is instead of it going through the server to an email, it goes to here. Okay? So it's just something to think about from a district level.